prophecy of Dajjal's fruit. The Muslims have an end times character which is a good prophet of the book of Revelation, and they say that this end times character will come and that he has the power of rain and that he will cause vegetation to grow, but don't be deceived by him. And looking into their writings to get some context, we will see that this is actually the Bible's end times good characters being fulfilled. Hadith 18:18, in the book of miscellaneous ahadith of the significant values, in the hadith about the Dajjal and the importance of the hour, it says, "He will come to the people and call them to his obedience, and they will affirm their faith in him and respond to him. He will then give command to the sky, and it will send its rain upon the earth, and he will then send his command to the earth, and it will grow vegetation." So we see here they're talking about this Dajjal character calling forth the rains and the vegetation and commanding vegetation to come. To build context here, first let's look to the book of Revelation chapter 11 to see where this is fulfilled. Revelation chapter 11 verse 3 says, "And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." So we begin to see that for 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years, there's prophesying occurring. And in Revelation chapter 11 verse 6, we see that the power is having the power over the rain. It says, "These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will." So we see here it says that it rains not during the days of the prophecy. Well, how many days are the 1,260 days? It is 3.5 years. And we also know that the likeness of this was shared before in the book of James. In James 5 verse 17 it says, "Elias was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months." Well, that 3 years and that 6 months is 1,260 days. And what occurred after those 3.5 years? The following verse says in verse 18, "And he prayed again, and heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit." So we see here that the power Elijah had in the likeness of Elijah is being attributed to the Dajjal in the Muslim hadith, where he has power of rain and to command forth the vegetation. So first, looking at this, in this likeness, what will occur in the end times during those 1,260 days? First, the woman travailing and the rains being withheld. There's a prophecy of this in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 42:14 and 15 says, "I have long time holden my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. I will make waste mountains and hills and dry up all their herbs, and I will make the rivers islands, and I will dry up the pools." So we see the travailing woman and the pools being dried up and the rains being withheld, and this is the same thing with the travailing woman that goes into the wilderness. In the book of Revelation chapter 12 verse 6 it says, "And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days." And this is the same amount of days as the days of no rain and the prophesying. So the earth will have what is written in Isaiah chapter 42, with the rains being withheld and their herbs drying up. But in the blessing with the power of the one whom has the rain, we also see that is written in the book of Isaiah that there will be blessing for those in the wilderness, that they will have water. In Isaiah chapter 41 verse 17 through 19 it says, "When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittah tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, and the pine, and the box tree together." And yes, the water will spring up during this time for the people who are in the wilderness. This is a promise. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 18 and through 20, "Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old? Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The beasts of the field shall honor me, the dragons and the owls, because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert, to give drink to my people, my chosen. My people, the word for my people here is me, my chosen. So the wilderness will be watered for those 1260 days, a part of the blessing and the curse on the earth that is occurring for the Lord as He's separated between His people, my people, me, and the world, the people who have rejected Him. And this occurs for the 1260 days, just like the days of Elijah. And this is the likeness of that prophet whom that the Muslims call the Dajjal, and his fruit where the rains are withheld, and then the commanding of the rains at the end of the 1260 days, and it springs forth vegetation. This is seen in the Bible of prophecy as well. In Isaiah chapter 44, verse 3 and 4, it also further talks about the people that have rain during that time of the end times. It says, "For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thine offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the water courses." And it is hereafter we see that the places whom had been cursed by the Lord, where there was no rain for those 1260 days on His return, after the 1260 days, that they have been made desolate. They've been barren, they've been dried up, and their pools have been dried up, and the Lord will spring forth water. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 35, "And they shall say, This land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited." And again, we see in Isaiah chapter 51, verse 3, it says, "For the Lord shall comfort Zion, He will comfort all her waste places, and He will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody." And on His return, the fulfillment of this is seen and continuing on in Isaiah chapter 35 and also in Isaiah chapter 35 verse 2. It says, "The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God." And this is the fulfillment after the 3.5 years. This is what occurs after the rain comes, after the rain has been stopped for 1260 days. Just like in the book of James, where it says in verse 18, "And he prayed, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit." So after the time of the 1260 days, the rain has been withheld. The earth is cursed without rain. The people who are of the people of God in the wilderness get blessed with water in abundance. And then at the return of Christ, when Christ comes, the prophet prophesies, and the coming of Christ comes, and the rain comes, and the water blesses the desert and blesses the land and the ground, and it brings forth her fruit, just like it says in the book of James chapter 5 verse 18, that afterward he prayed and then fruit was brought forth. And this is a fulfillment of what is going on in the end times for the 1260 days that the Muslims have vilified. And that is their character, Dajjal, being fulfilled in the Bible prophecy with the Dajjal's fruit coming forth with vegetation after the 1260 days, when the blessing of Christ comes and the land is no longer desolate and barren, but is made like the Garden of Eden. And this is the prophecy of the Dajjal's fruit.